This is going to be a shaken gin cocktail with a lemongrass infused gin, Apple Brandy, Montenegro Amaro. We're going to make a green apple and clove syrup. It's going to be fabulous, light and bright, but still punching these like fall flavors and produce that's readily available in fall and super fresh right now. So get ready for the Shark Eat Duck. All right, so the build for the Shark Eat Duck is 1.5 ounces of a lemongrass infused gin, 1/2 ounce of Apple Brandy, 1/4 ounce of Montenegro Amaro, 3/4 ounce lemon juice, and 3/4 ounce green apple and clove syrup. So we got a little bit of work to do to get ready to make this cocktail, so let's just go right ahead and jump into the prep work. So the tools you're gonna need for the prep today: we need a juicer, you're gonna need a cutting board, you're gonna need a knife, you're gonna need a citrus juicer, you're gonna need a spice grinder or a mortar and pestle. You're gonna need a measuring cup. You're gonna need a kitchen scale or something you can weigh out grams with. You're gonna need some coffee filters. You're gonna need a pot. You're also gonna need a blender. And you're gonna need some sealable containers to store in. All right, so let's jump into our first bit of prep work. We're gonna make our lemongrass gin. Now this process is a little bit different than some of the other infusions we've done in the past, where we let things soak overnight. This is gonna be a little quicker infusion process. Where we're basically just gonna use the blender to blend the lemongrass into our gin, and then we're gonna strain out the solid material. So the recipe for our lemongrass gin: for every 250 milliliters of gin, you're gonna need 14 grams of lemongrass. So if you were to do a full 750 milliliter bottle of gin, you're gonna need 42 grams of lemongrass. So to get started, let's grab our scale, let's grab a container, let's place it on that scale, and we are gonna weigh out our 42 grams of lemongrass. Okay, set that aside, and let's grab our measuring cup, all right, because we want to measure out that 750 milliliters of gin. Right. We got our gin, we got our lemongrass. What we're going to want to do next is we want to chop our lemongrass up a little bit so we don't put these full lemongrass pieces into the blender. So they don't have to be super small, but just smaller pieces. I love the smell of lemongrass. It's so fresh and fragrant. All right, we got our lemongrass cut up here. So the next thing we're gonna do is grab our blender. So we're gonna pour in our 750 milliliters of gin and our 42 grams of our chopped up lemongrass. Place that lid on, get that blender on. We're just gonna kick this on and let it run until the lemongrass is completely pureed into the gin. That looks good. I don't see any chunks in there. Smells good. Don't smell it directly, man. Ugh. It's like doing a popper or something, man. All right, let's get this blender out of here. All right, so now that we got that blended up, we're gonna need to strain this out because lemongrass is super fibrous, so we want to make sure we strain through a coffee filter on this, not just a basket strainer, otherwise you're going to get those fibers from the lemongrass. If you strain through a coffee filter, it'll get rid of all those fibers, you'll keep all that flavor of the lemongrass in the gin. It's really going to be awesome. So you can do two things. You can either grab a large basket strainer and place a coffee filter in it and strain through it like that, or like I like to use my Chemex here because it's just easy and great for this kind of thing. And we place the coffee filter down in it. You just pour right into the coffee filter. There we have it, guys. Our lemongrass gin is straining. I'm gonna set that just to the side right there. Okay, so while we're waiting on our lemongrass gin to infuse, we're gonna make our green apple and clove syrup. So let's grab our green apples. We're gonna leave one aside for garnish, and you're just gonna wanna cut this baby up away from the core. Remember, what we're looking for is 250 grams of green apple juice and 250 grams of sugar. Then we're also gonna need 5 grams of ground clove. So I wanna make sure these are small enough chunks to where they can fit into my juicer. Now, before I move on, I'm gonna go ahead and slice up some of my apples for garnish. Slice off a piece just like that, and then we're just gonna kinda slice some thin pieces. And what I want to do is I want to slice about 4 or 5 pieces that I don't slice all the way through to the end, so they're still intact at the end there. And I can just kind of fan them out. Just like that, right? So there, we got our garnish. Set our garnish aside as well. Got our apples cut, let's go ahead and grab our juicer. All right, pressing our apples through. Let's juice our fresh green apple juice. It's gonna be super nice and bright and tart. Got our apple juiced. All right, our apple is juiced. We're gonna set that aside. So we're gonna grab our scale, turn that bad boy on. Let's place our container on the scale. Should we zero out that scale, and we're gonna weigh out 5 grams of our whole cloves. All right, 5 grams of cloves. Now you can use a mortar and pestle if you have it. I got a spice grinder, so I just do that. And we just want a coarse grind on it. We don't want this like a powder or anything. So just a quick couple pulses. Maybe one more time. And that's it. Perfect. So that's what you're looking for there. Kind of a little coarse grind on that clove. Got our clove ground up. Last thing for our apple clove syrup, we gotta weigh out our sugar. We're gonna weigh out 250 grams of sugar. 250 grams of sugar. Add that to our pot. Place that container back on the scale. Make sure it's zeroed out. We gotta weigh out our 250 grams of our green apple juice. Look at the color on that, man. Boy, that was perfect, guys. So about 3 green apples got me that 250 grams of green apple juice. So let's add that to the pot as well. We already weighed out our clove. Let's add the clove to the pot. Let's go ahead and get our burner turned on to a medium-high heat. It's getting hot in this room under the lights. I am sweating. So we want to bring this up to a boil until all that sugar dissolves. Gin is straining nicely. Sometimes you can move around the coffee filter and help it along a little bit. Just be careful. You don't want to tear the coffee filter. Sometimes you can give it a little squeeze because there will still be solid material in here from the lemongrass particles. Just don't squeeze too hard. Again, you don't want to break the filter. All right, guys, so while our green apple syrup is going, we got our lemongrass gin going, we got to cut and juice our lemons real quick as well. So one more time, grab your cutting board, grab our lemons and cut those babies up. I know we've gone over this 1,000 times, so you know, hey, just slice your lemons up, juice them with your hand juice or by hand, whatever. Make sure we double strain. If you need a more in-depth tutorial on juicing, guys, check out the Bar Essentials playlist. Look for citrus juicing. I kind of go a little more step-by-step with it. Pretty straightforward, you know. The biggest thing is making sure you double strain your citrus. Your citrus shelf lives. It's a tongue twister. 2 days on lemon and lime, throw them out on the 3rd day. 3 days on orange and grapefruit, throw them out on the 4th day. Strain it once, break a container, strain it twice, label and date. Always good practices. Have your refrigerator at home looking like a real restaurant walk-in. All right, so checking on our syrup. It looks like it's coming up to a boil here just about. I'm gonna let it go just a little longer to make sure all that sugar's dissolved in there. Our lemongrass gin is looking good. Just gonna give this coffee filter another press to really press the gin out of the lemongrass fibers to make sure we get that flavor, that deep lemongrass flavor added into the gin. Again, not pressing too hard. We don't want to rip this coffee filter and then have to start this whole process over. All right, that's good, man. Syrup smells so good, guys. I cannot wait for you to make this at home and just smell that clove and that apple cooking, man. It is awesome, so good. That's looking good. That looks like all the sugar's dissolved. We're gonna turn that off the heat. You're gonna wanna let that cool a little bit, and then we're gonna wanna strain that with our basket strainer. We're just gonna use a basket strainer. We don't need cheesecloth or anything. I don't mind some bits of clove being in the syrup. I think it makes it nice, some of the small little particles of clove, as long as we just wanna get those big chunks of clove out of there. Grab another container, grab a basket strainer. We're gonna strain that syrup. Perfect. All those big bits of clove out of there. Place a lid on it. Blue tape it, label and date. The shelf life on that, guys, I'd say about up to 2 weeks refrigerated. And for the lemongrass gin, I'd give you a shelf life of up to a month refrigerated on that. All right, guys, that's it for the prep work today. Let's jump into making our Sharky Duck cocktail. I went ahead and put my green apple and clove syrup in this cheater bottle here, my lemon juice in this cheater bottle here, just to make it easier for pouring. So, first thing we're gonna need, our shaker tin. Gonna need our jigger. And we're gonna need our glassware. So, starting cheapest ingredients to most expensive ingredients, we're gonna need 3/4 ounce of our lemon juice. Next, we're gonna need 3/4 ounce of our Apple-Clove syrup. We need 1/4 ounce of our Montenegro. 1/2 ounce of our Apple Brandy. And we're gonna need 1.5 ounces of our Lemongrass Infused Gin. Grab large side of our shaker, let's ice our tin. Always coming all the way to the top with that ice to make sure we get that proper dilution. Seal it up, shake it for 12 seconds as always. "12 seconds. Crack that container, 1, 2, 3 tries. So we get all that out of there. Grab both our basket strainer and our Hawthorne strainer. Double strain as always. Yeah. Grab that garnish we made earlier. Fan it out nicely. There we go. Rest it right on top of there. There you have it, guys. The shark eat duck. Let's taste. All right. Take that garnish off, dunk it down in there so it doesn't fall. And you get that lemongrass on the nose immediately. A little bit of that clove. Whoa. Huge punch of lemongrass. Sweetness from the green apple, the bitterness from the Amaro, the Montenegro. Get those warm baking spice notes from the clove. This is a great example of a super bright and fresh fall cocktail, right? You still get these fall notes and some things that you may not have associated with fall, like lemongrass. It's when it's in season. Oh man, that apple brandy kind of gives it a little bit of body and a little bit of punch, a little fullness. Yo, that's a tasty, tasty cocktail, y'all. There it is, guys. The Sharky Duck, ready for you this fall. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Maybe you made it along with me. Maybe you wrote it down to save for a later date. Either way, let me know how you're liking the recipes, guys. And hey, as always, become a regular somewhere. Become a regular at your local watering hole. It's the best way to support local business. And become a regular here at Happiness Bar by liking, commenting, subscribing. Hit that bell if you want notifications. We got cocktail videos coming out every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern to get you ready for the weekend. Stay happy, everyone. Wrap on the Sharky Duck.